they kind of need to find that early game success again, so they're not just getting outplayed by MKOI on the side.
And because it's a game 3, we get the funk house music for Pick Ban, our best Pick Ban song that we have in the LEC. Enjoy it. Dagda's thrown away my toothpick, so I'm not getting that off the ground. Not that I probably would. Anyway, hygiene's important. Ladies and gentlemen, Jace has gone again from Canna. A priority ban that he must not have, says MKOI. Trundle as well has been permaban on blue side this series, and for good reason. Does mean things like Sejuani could be thought about, as we've already had a couple of tank junglers in the midst.
Yeah, I think moving back towards Maokai and Sejuani is going to be the call.
Get the EU tree.
But I think it's just a strong pick, and EU jungler is quite good at it, especially in controlling the team fights around objectives. Pantheon is the other one that we could potentially see, but definitely has been teetering down the priority list, but as we've gone through further into summer.
Yep. I feel like Wukong being away from that, I mean, we're just experimenting at this point.
Vi is the other one?
Yeah.
That might be banned here.
Vi is indeed the one, isn't it? Is that going to be taken away? Final ban is going to be Brom. Yeah, Vi's up and available. Is it first pickable for KC? Like, do we feel confident on Yike on Vi?
See, there is a opportunity. Okay, yeah, they're just going to go for it. I was going to say, Vi does somewhat struggle into Maokai, because Maokai is able to ult after Vi's gone in and separate Vi, so you deal with the Vi and then the rest of the team afterwards. But happy to go with the Vi. Maybe we get the answer with the Maokai coming through afterwards, but we'll have to see what the game plan is, because a lot of those early damage dealers, early junglers that can contest with Vi have been taken off the board. Pantheon is going to say is the last one that really remains, and looks like that'll be the call.
Vi for Yike after 35 games, 54% win rate, and that people might say, oh, yeah, that's fine, but like, considering how many games he's played, or the rest of the champions like Maokai, Viego, Xin Zhao, they're all 60, 70+% win rate with high game density. So Vi is definitely one of his weaker champs. As already mentioned, Pantheon, Rell gets paired up against it with Alvaro. I like Alvaro's Rell, and I think when he's on an engaged tool that gets suppressed at first, you always feel good about him starting fights.
On the upside, I'm not really sure what you want to try and go for as an answer. Maybe it's just the Renata here for Targamas to try and buy space for the backline. Also, Senna does start to rise up in priority in these sort of situations, because you've got an AD damage dealer. I was going to say you could take something that's a bit more of a carry in the top lane for Canna, but of course Neeko still available.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big one to bypass as well. I'm surprised we get it in game 3, but it has been banned away a few times. Precisely 2, I believe, because that's what counts to 3. Now that we're in this final game, what AD carry do we get? Xayah, self-pill you talked about before, and so good against Vi. Jhin also has a lot of range, so it feels like there's a couple of good options here for Supa.
Yeah, I think Corki also up there if you want to try and go for something that we've seen a lot of more aggressive carries go for, and not to say that Supa isn't aggressive, I just mean like Noah, who wants to really dominate lane, has been tending more towards the Corki.
I mean, Supa is an aggressive AD carry.
Exactly.
You can say that he's aggressive, don't worry about that.
But yeah, I think you're on both sides. You're pretty happy what you got. Targamas had a fantastic engage on the Neeko last weekend, which ended up winning that series, or helping them to win that series against Giant X and turn around that. I think it was game number 1.
I think it was.
Either way, it's now just a case of focusing on getting rid of, I was going to say, the options into K'Sante in the top lane, but it looks like, at least with the champions that have already been taken off the board, there's very few that remain as an option into K'Sante. Maybe you just want to get rid of the Ornn or something along those lines as well to act as another engage tool, and good follow-up with the Pantheon if he ever goes for that big ult engage.
Ryze has gone instead. That Ornn mention is nice, Dagda, because I agree with the percentage health damage he has, thanks to things like Brittle and Bellows Breath. That could be something that, again, layers really well with MKOI. Let's find out if they go top lane here and get counterpick for mid lane, which would be the obvious call.
Jax also may be an option. I think Myrwn in the past has gone...
Ornn.
Yeah, okay, it is just going to be...
And yesterday, remember game 3 against Giant X? This is what helped seal it. It's not going to be picked now. It's a blind mid instead of matching top. Which is kind of interesting.
So strong, though.
Yeah, I guess they're like, hey, we just can't give away Orianna. They can't do it.
It's very, very strong at controlling the lane in the early stages, because you tend to outrange being able to move the ball around, especially when Azir is already taken off the board. Talia's gone as well.
What do you think about Syndra here in this angle? I know they're going to pick AD carry now as well, but Syndra Vi used to be an old combo, and against range, the ability to pull out Xayah as well. I mean, I'm just throwing things at you here, Dagda. I'm hoping you catch somewhere. Okay, I didn't throw that at you. That's a Viktor.
Yeah, I think it's more playing for strong AoE in team fights and good zone control in team fights is what they're looking for, because you've already got that Neeko. If you compare it alongside a Viktor stun afterwards as well, it can really wreak havoc. MKOI though, again, you got very strong mid jungle to try and play through. I think it is a little lacking on KC's side. And yeah, there's the Ornn that we were talking about just to round it out. So very much, hey, we're going to go in for team fights. Both decent scaling across the board. It's more going to come down to who finds these early advantages in those team fights and who can get the setup at the objective that really are going to blow up in this game.
I mean, it is nice again to see, same point, right? For me, when the final pick here is still that Ornn, where that long-range engage and the insane team fight setups he had yesterday, I think personally that's what won them the fights in a lot of the cases. There were great, I mean, there was also great fighting from Supa as well, right? And Alvaro's nuts engages on the Alistar yesterday in Game 3 versus Giant X. But my point is this, Myrwn on something that can role-play starting fights feels to me similar to Alvaro, where they're very reliable, they're very on point, they're very accurate. MKOI, a bit of glazing there. KC on the other side. Canna's Cassante, I feel like it's pretty clean. And Vladi on comfort too. What a good way to round out the series when I think we got a highlight and draft from both sides, highlight and champions in individuals as well.
Yeah, it's the... When you look towards KC, I think it's going to be pushing control on bottom side. That is going to help them out. Just trying to keep Alvaro in check is going to be a lot of the early game plan, because if you look at Elyoya, Jojo, and Alvaro starting to link up, that becomes a pretty terrifying unit. But I have to see if they can try and hold on to that control.
Let's see, final game of the night and our match of the week. You got the tickets, you're here. And you deserve to see a banger. Now, Dagda, I'm not going to go out there and a whim and a lie and be like, oh, these comps want a skirmish heavy. Look how early game focused they are. We have an Orianna and a Viktor. We have a Corki, who, yes, is a lane bully, but still has a mad scaling with a Xayah. I think Cassante Ornn. This is about as let's fight 25, 30 minutes as it gets, you know? Junglers, do something before 60. Yeah, before 6, sorry. Imagine level 60.
Yeah, but I do think that is kind of where my focus is on the jungle and the supports. I think this is mostly where we can actually get some action.
True.
Pantheon and Vi quite strong in the early stages. You've good follow-up and good CC to enable them as well. And also, as I say, like Orianna isn't strong individually in the early stages, but if you have a jungler that is very strong and wants to chase people down, which Pantheon does, that's where Orianna can actually come into it. She gives shields, she gets the slow, and also a speed up for Pantheon in the command dissonance. So this is where you kind of become more of a supportive mid laner in the early stages that enable these much more stronger AD junglers.
I also like the phase rush here into the matchup, the ability to get burst trade and then walk away from the Viktor Q, from his second proc at least. Feels kind of nice and super easy. Back when phase rush was a little bit stronger, Orianna always take this and you just auto QW, boom, trade done. Or if you don't get an auto down, you press E and then you get it done anyway. So phase rush feels like the easiest rune to proc on her.
Also, the opportunity in the early stages to chase people down is a bit underrated. Because the Clockwork Windup, her auto attack passive, she gets increased auto attack. So if you can extend the trade in these early stages, especially with long cooldown mages like Viktor and Orianna, you just end up winning out because of that passive damage.
She feels like the nicest champion to auto in the early game as well. I mean, just feels good hitting it. As a quick side note, Elyoya started with an invade here on Raptors. He'll eventually be spotted out crossing through to River back to his own jungle, but Yike picks up his red, loses Raptors for now. So small success story is... I also see a deep ward on red jungle for MKOI, but nothing's actually been taken. So that'll expire. They know that Elyoya is bot side for now, as Caliste and Targamas push in regardless.
The question it opens up is, what does Elyoya do now? Because there is a chance that he clears his wolves and then moves back into bottom side to put pressure onto Caliste and Targamas. Because Yike is down at camp on this bottom side, he either just kind of has to sit here and waste time, or move back up to the top side where he has both of his blue and his Grom still to spawn. You can see he's going to reset, but it looks like Elyoya just going to continue his clear up onto his top side and look to protect his own camps rather than trying to help out this bottom lane.
Well, mid laners are just passive-aggressive to one another. Jojo going to go back so he can get some mana up in this, and feels like it could just be a tier start. Let's see what it is for the Viktor on the other side. For Vladi, Myrwn doesn't have to back as he gets a cloth armor nice and early here up against a Cassante. Dark Seal, and instead of something like a tier, it's actually a Ruby Crystal, so Jojo might be going for a more aggressive build here in the Orianna, or he could just pick up Rod of Ages. For now, we'll wait.
Probably Rod of Ages.
It's probably Rod of Ages.
Yeah.
I think a Ruby Crystal. I'm like, hang on a minute, maybe it's like Leandros or something? Then again, that's also passive, so... Regardless, Dark Seal. I like the start on Vladi, yeah. Seeing a Viktor with Dark Seal, yeah, that's confident.
Also, in theory, he shouldn't be under a ton of pressure in the early stages.
True.
So if they can find some early success, can start to stack that one up. Yike picking up this. Now, I think Elyoya should start to move back down towards his bottom side to get the last Scuttle Crab, but I'm curious if Yike, after finishing his blue, then moves in to seal away the Krugs on the top side. So it looks like instead Elyoya might just move in to protect his Krugs on top, reset, and then maybe look for the Crab on the bottom half of the map.
Vladi misses a couple of minions here. That's kind of decent when Jojo is the one leading this lane for now. Even getting caught in the gravity field doesn't matter as Vladi the one getting pushed in. Elyoya was spotted out and his topside camp now being done. Has the ability to come in here and just one-shot Vladi. Or get a flash in the process. Mid quite volatile. So what I'm trying to tell you is Yike is just down here on Raptors at full HP getting his clear done as well.
Yeah, Elyoya moving down again. Yike wanted to moved in, finish off his camps just as they're respawned, so Elyoya can't get the recontest, but Elyoya just going to look for the Scuttle Crab instead, then go for the reset. And honestly, at this stage, both junglers, even with the early take, Elyoya will be slightly ahead, but the reset with the amount of gold they have means they should kind of reset with the same amount of items.
Yep.
So it shouldn't set Yike behind too much on this.
There is a slight timing advantage for Yike at the very least to say, as Elyoya now gets backed up. A longsword is the pickup. This is a singular one for now on Yike's side. Now, quick side note, Dagda, when I see this Corki skin as he gets stunned up with the Shattering Strike, I do think of Super Mario Party 64, where...
I always think of Cool Runnings.
Of what?
Cool Runnings.
Cool Runnings?
Yeah.
Oh, the... Yeah, okay, I'm with you. No, sorry, I was like... sorry, sometimes you're very Irish. But right. I think of like the toboggan when you were the penguin. You dressed up in the penguin suit and you had to go down the big ice sled thing. And yeah, it was like a toboggan just like that. That's all I think about. And you fall off the map and you just be done. You just have to watch your other people play the game. You're like, oh, this is boring. That was before NPCs came into the mixes. Oh no, it wasn't, but you know what I mean. Dragon's going to be started, taking KC. Okay, early game, off to a flying start. As Shockwave's going to miss there against Vladi. He just walks it out. Jojo's going to get a good trade here, but without the Shockwave damage.
Yeah, I got a lot done, though, as we were kind of talking about that. So it doesn't go for the reset, clears out his bot camps, immediately goes over towards Dragon, and is only now resetting for the tunnel pickup. So he kind of ended up spending a lot of time on the map, but knew he had push on bot and decent push in the mid from Vladi, so there wasn't going to be any contest from MKOI. Now, with the Dragon taking MKOI, are like, hang on, Yike's been out on the map too long. They want to contest for his respawns.
There's a TP advantage because of Unsealed Spellbook. Yike is sus on it because of the lens. Well spotted with the timing there. Targamas now moving up as well, but Jojo has Vladi under turret. Phase Rush gets him out of turret range of the poke, and again, even though Shockwave was used, Jojo just doing a good job. Chaos Storm now going to come out, or rather Arcane Storm, and that's going to help clear the wave, but Jojo should be able to match this. He takes next to no damage, and it'll be neutral in mid yet again with no TP to speak of.
Jojo is doing a great job of getting the trades that he needs, though.
Yep.
Already a nice CS lead for himself, and the fact that his ultimate's going to be up a little bit quicker means there's a timing window for MKOI to try and make plays off of that ult being up and providing that CC.
But nice. Canna's just going to proxy a little bit here because not much that Myrwn can do. I mean, he's just going to accept the wave, but Canna's in a nice spot in this game as well. Quick side note, I feel like most LEC Casantes have either had a lead or have just found success, Dagda. I'm moments away from looking up the win rate with my fancy computer.
It is a difficult matchup for the Ornn, because a lot of the damage you want to get is through Brittle, but if you are about to hit the auto attack, you can pop the W as Casante and ignore a lot of that damage.
It's 2 and 5. It's not a good win rate. But
in lane, it's a little...
In lane, it feels good. And I think we've seen some good Casantes, like a lot. I think that was a loss yesterday, the game you played Casante. I can't recall correctly, but I've had a lot of good Casante games that have been like, oh, no, the team is too fed and we can't do much. So I don't know the best win rate, but still, it's a good game for Canna so far. 300 gold lead, as you can see on the screen. And I think more importantly as well, that mid lane is once again, 3 games in a row, Jojo's lead. He's had a lead each game. He's played side lanes better. He's gotten a lot more time to spare. He has been PvEing a lot. But to his credit, I mean, he's been doing it very well. In this game, the PvP's been going well as well. Here we go. But the skies erupt with the Pantheon in. That's Elyoya. Paying a visit in, but he's ulted by Yike straight away, who flashes out after his cease and desist. Oh yeah, pokes out that Comet of Legends. getting Caliste, but Caliste will Valkyrie instead. So now that he's level 6, he can start poking out in return. But regardless, MKOI try to send a play.
Nice shadow from Yike, though. His camps hadn't really spawned on the bottom side and knew that his bottom lane was the most vulnerable part of the map. Cassante is already going in behind the turret, so you don't have to worry. Oh, hang on, Jojo.
The shockwave, but where's the damage going to be? I mean, at this point, the Chaos Storm's going to do as much.
But Yike able to cover. Now it's going to be onto the Void Grubs.
Yike coming in, remember that ulti, he did a little assault, but he's not going to find any target. And now just starts up the grubs for himself. MKOI have leashed a little bit here, and one should be granted, but MKOI are backing away. Two going to be granted over to KC, and that is a nice interrupt to get quite a bit.
Once more, Canna had moved from that bottom side into mid, so MKOI a little nervous about trying to overextend for the Void Grubs. We'll give Myrwn a little bit of time to get the tower. Sorry, this wave underneath the tower, but in the tank v tank matchup, it's not going to mean a huge amount, whereas those early Void Grubs can do some nice things for KC.
But a goal for Myrwn in the meantime, hitting up that plate. We come back to mid because it's always just on the edge of 400 HP. Jojo and Vladi keep fighting it off, and with Catalyst, Jojo has a little bit more sustain here, but I'm more concerned about how supports get involved. Alvaro goes into Fog of War, Targamas as well, Pop Blossom, no Magnet Storm available. Just counting ultis here of what the supports can add, and both mid laners are very cautious, making sure they don't step up to get caught.
It's more just protect your own vision line at the moment and try and extend it a little bit further. There's no objectives until a minute for the next dragon, so nobody really wants to overextend or get caught out ahead of that. Battle for the Scuttle, though.
Damage is going to come through from Elyoya first. Elyoya building up passive stacks, but Scuttle's going to be granted over to him. And that's also going to give a bit of power to Supa in this top lane, who moved for the swap. Going to get a quick recall in as well, as we kind of go back to normal. 10 minutes in, no kill yet, but again, early we know there's not going to be too much blood. We've seen the comps like third time in a row. We're just going to chill, lull about a little bit, and do whatever people do in the early game.
Well, the thing is, though, the move from Canna, not as egregious as he already... Well, egregious is a bit of a strong word, but not as bad as he was able to pick up a lot of CS, and it has a bit of an experience lead. But when you look towards Caliste, the rotation hurt him there. He lost about a wave worth of experience, setting him behind Supa. And Supa should hick over then off of this wave to level 8. You can see just there for the fight. And that could actually be pretty important if KC try to look for a fight immediately. But looks like they're just going to be happy to bounce the wave. Maybe actually look for a play into Caliste here.
Caliste is the one hiding in brush. But it's a Corki, it's not going to matter too much. And they don't get the ward in the end. So Elyoya just stacks up to 5. And Caliste is going to take on Supa. Bombs down, and Feathers do not get a root. Supa felt very confident with that one with the BF sword, and he should have. He gets a root there, maybe he has the kill.
So no real positioning for MKOI on the objective. They're trying to fight for this control where Canna is. But again, Canna just walking down to the objective. Happy to give Myrwn a little bit of time on the tower to finish out the waves. KC more focused on the objectives with the top lane.
It starts off. Teleport coming in, and Caliste, remember, he took a chunk before. Will it matter too much here for KOI? They're thinking about their angle. Alvaro needs an impossible engage, but made possible. Call the Forge God. Flashed in. Myrwn does it again. Zoned off 3 from KC, and Yike is down. Meanwhile, Canna got into the backside. Gets Supa's flash out, but now he's isolated. Alone. Left to dry. While KC getting front to back by MKOI. In the blink of an eye. It's MKOI with 2. Dragon down as well. And orchestrated so damn nicely for that fight.
The Ornn ultimate tears through KC, and MKOI have Elyoya just deliver himself into the backline and tear apart KC. MKOI's team fighting has just been better across this series. Canna trying to set up for the front line, but Myrwn, KC essentially just set themselves up perfectly for it. And even with the interrupt coming through at the backline, Supa is completely fine. Elyoya able to separate out the fight. A good shockwave from Jojo hits onto 3 members as well. And you called it. Canna went so deep to try and finish off Supa, he just ends up isolated in that backline.
First 2 kills over to MKOI, and it goes to Myrwn. The CC chain, the layering with double brittle coming off his Call the Forge God, then his Bellows Breath. After setting out the pillar, it was just nothing that Yike could do. He couldn't move, rather. And so for MKOI, a decent-sized gold lead here in what has been otherwise a slow early game. The Dragon makes the game slower for KC as well, and Dagda with all the scaling. MKOI are not going to be forced to a fight any sooner than they'd rather.
The problem, though, is what we already kind of alluded to. MKOI and KC both scale relatively well into the game. So the early resources being given to MKOI means they will hit those item breakpoints faster and continue to be stronger. And every time you try and contest them, that's where you're going to get more and more issues as this game goes on. So now a lot of this is going to be, again, coming back to Targamas and Yike. How can they find moments to attack side lanes and prevent MKOI from being able to utilize this lead to continue snowballing the game?
An early lead advantage is especially going to go to Jojo, who, again, 30 CS up just about. He's got a Rod of Ages. He's stacking it nice and early, and Vladi has been bullied in this lane. I'm even seeing half a level advantage between Vladi and Jojo this game, too. I'm looking elsewhere. I'm seeing the leads all red, all good, and it's good from Elyoya. 30 CS up. These numbers, these mean so much, again, when we talk about scaling, but even more so when you have something like a Herald spawning in 50 seconds, another Dragon in 3, and MKOI have the ability to start popping heads.
They want to just pop anyone who walks into a side lane, and this is going to be because of that Pantheon ultimate. It's so difficult for Vladi to push up. You can see how defensive he has to be. Now, obviously, he spotted MKOI on that top side, but he doesn't really get to play the game from this position, to be honest. And Myrwn's just happy because, well, he is Caught of the Forge God, he is a ton of health. If you try and dive him, it's not going to go well for you.
No, it's not. Simply said, efficient.
I started to cough at the end of that.
I know. You had the hiccups before, you started to cough.
Look, we got rid of the hiccups. You don't need to worry about them, okay?
No, the question is just leading towards this fight. 5 seconds. You know, as a caster, you just get away with saying easy things like a scoreboard timer that you can all see, but I point you towards it and you think, oh, thank you very much, Hysterics. That's very nice of you. That's no problem, really. Where was I, Dagda? Okay, yes, Herald. Elyoya is going to start it off. And the zone that's coming from Alvaro, it's so easy for MKOI to just hold this position. Teleport going to be burned, but even though Vladi's coming in with the Blackfire Torch, he's going to come in just for the wave. Nothing else going to be granted. And MKOI objectives in this early game are looking real nice.
It's again, the snowball off the early prowess that they had. They can't fight on that top side. Vladi was forced away from the top turret because of potential dive. Yike could walk to the bot lane, but was like, I can't really go for any play on Myrwn. So you just end up isolating Vladi. You isolate that turret, which means you get the wave pushed in, you fall back to the objective. MKOI are just playing this very slow and very smart. And this is kind of what we were talking about in the last game, where it was, hey, it may not be the flashiest League of Legends, but it's this slow chokehold MKOI are putting onto the game. And a lot of that, again, is coming from Elyoya and Alvaro. These guys have consistently been working so well for this team, getting control on the map, denying access to KC, like gating them off from parts of the map. And now Jojo is moving in. Don't know if he wants to go for anything too crazy, though.
Yike's going to be here to cover. Alvaro's going to find him first, but look behind is Elyoya with an ult in his pocket. He's looking for a target. Caliste is here, but so is Targamas. The clone found out that they know it's real, and he's burnt down. A spear easily done. And in the heart of Targamas, he drops down. That timing ain't good. 35 seconds until the dragon spawns.
Supa able to keep in check on mid and forcing Targamas to try and move across, as Alvaro and Elyoya, they just scoot him directly into the hands of everyone that's waiting. Again, MKOI, they're just controlling where KC can walk.
Well, jumping forward, the blade pulled in. Alvaro is going to disengage with the crash down. KC on the charge, but Elyoya is still here. An assault in, that doesn't come through, as Jojo's going to be collapsed on after the fact, because he stepped up to the wave thinking that, yeah, my team is in river, but no longer. He flashes away with teleport to cover as well. The Vi entry is not an assist. Instead, Shockwave disengaged by Canna. A great W as the Pathmaker's now down. Myrwn flashes in again, doesn't give time to engage, even though the Hysterics charge doesn't work. Pop Blossom on the back end. KC looking for the fight. Targamas found everyone, but they need damage. Jojo in the storm now hits them all. Canna is just running forward, unable to die, and Elyoya comes in late. KC just sent it under turret. Caliste close, but he wins it out in the end. And Myrwn caught in the middle. We go from nothing to everything for KC.
KC were just playing the waiting game. They had Caliste moving from the mid lane, making his way down to that bottom side, and all they were doing was biding for that moment where Canna could help turn it around, and MKOI took the bait.
A slither of HP. There's a crush down, by the way. Alvaro's looking for Targamas and getting in the way of Dragon. And Supa now comes on in at full HP. Alvaro's trying to sacrifice his life as Yike has to walk away from the Dragon. There's a teleport. We devolve as Jojo doesn't have a shockwave, but he's 20 seconds off. Yike gets to disengage. There's no smite in the pit right now, but Yike can't get nearby. It turns into a leash, and Supa's entrance brings the dragon back for MKOI.
Canna TP to the top lane. Oh my God.
Keep down Vladi. And even though there's a stun coming up, Shockwave, oh, it does not connect. Vladi's running to the safety of his turret. He will survive, and man, I think both teams just got bored and just said, where's Vladi going in?
So we get the initial play on towards the bottom side, on towards Jojo, who overextended trying to get the tower when we saw that KC play in towards MKOI's jungle. But watch as this goes on. In the mid lane, Corki is already pushed in. So KC, all they're trying to do is buy time and keep MKOI interested. And MKOI take the bait, they fully commit. You don't end up getting that knockup from Myrwn, but Targamas, again, a great engagement off the back of the Pop Blossom. And that's when Caliste has come through. There's nothing left in the tank now for MKOI, and Caliste can help finish off those members of MKOI.
Eventually, one way or another, MKOI KC delivers. Eventually, it gets interesting here as Myrwn is the last to go.
After this, though, is where it gets funky, because Canna TPs to the top lane to get the tier 1, but it does mean, hang on.
Myrwn's going to be cancelled. Yike doesn't get his assault in, but he still has a cease and desist, or rather he doesn't even need it. Even after a searing charge, Caliste is now on a rampage. 4 kills on the Corki. He picked up one by himself last time in bot fight as Kana's running for life, but he's a Cassante. CC means nothing to him, and so he'll just evacuate this bot turret.
Does mean we're essentially back to all square, though, when it comes towards the gold. Yes, there's some differences, obviously, on like the 4-kill Corki, but it's got a lot of gold on towards Jojo, who's been fairly quickly accelerated. The Dragon's in favor of MKOI, and I think that's where, if you can get to this next fight, MKOI are going to be trying to, again, see if they can separate out KC in the same fashion that they did last time. But Vladi, TPing out, wanted nothing to do with a potential play towards him.
Going towards bot, maybe for the Atakan as well. It's Vladi's play after top wave, rather. He's getting pushed out, so he'll be here first. Elyoya with no ulti, and walking in, Alvaro has to face check. Canna can stand here and deliver, be the wall that no one can get past at all. Jojo and Myrwn running in from the river here, and even though there's a Hexcade being used, Atakan at 8k, going down fast with Herald, being the option for MKOI mid.
This is a little risky, though. I don't know if KC can burst this out.
Call the Forge God at 2 into 1. It's taken by Caliste, but Pop Blossom, Alvaro in the back again. A cease, a desist, an all out from Canna. Knocks about. Supa's flipped up, but Vladi is frying him alive. A 4 in the electric socket, and MKOI can't move.
It looked like Alvaro might have been able to set up for that huge engage, but it's Targamas again with the Pop Blossom that is finding the angle to keep MKOI out and set up for KC to take the fight.
Herald was placed down. That's still going to get a charge regardless, but Caliste will be able to clear this out, save his inner turret. It's yet another fight where he gets a lot. Canna on this Cassante, he's doing a lot as well.
Well, the thing was, Canna actually got CC'd at the start of this. I think he was looking for Elyoya to try and ult him out of the fight so you could try and avoid the steal. But here, gets CC, doesn't really get the setup. But Targamas coming in off the side, gets a huge Pop Blossom, which then just immediately sets up for KC to go. And Supa gets a great pullback here, but doesn't really have any more of the follow-up. Targamas is doing a ton of work alongside Caliste and Vladi to just keep these tank members of MKOI out of position so Supa can fall.
Nice, guys. Nice mate, Yike, Kapatungus. It's okay, yes.
I feel like with Leandra's Blackfire Torch, and Myrwn, who's had a couple of good setups in fights, is now getting shredded really, really quick. Look at the damage. Most done by Vladi, then shortly after Caliste. Supa's doing a lot, so both AD carries definitely worth watching here as gold is still pretty much even. KC, yes, have a 1,500 gold lead, but remember, we're talking about scaling. We're talking about 3 items being picked up here, or at least well on the way to, for these AD carries. As they sit for 2 and a bit right now, we wait, we look. Dragon's up in a minute. That'll be 3rd for MKOI, and worth a discussion.
Well, you've also got to start looking at the shockwaves from Jojo, because 2 items now means that he's in a decent spot to start hurting. Not exactly the Ludens build that you like to go for, but still can be game making, especially if you compare that alongside a big ultimate from Supa, or sorry, big feather pullback from Supa. But fight in 35 seconds in theory, Jojo just going to take tower and look for the reset.
And his side lane play continues no matter what champion he's on. He's still up in CS, by the way. He's still massively up on Vladi, and you know, we need a big shockwave. We need a combo from Movistar KOI. KC keep winning out these fights. Feels easy to execute so far, at least, as Bolt Breaker in onto Myrwn, just out of range. Trying to get some brittle there with the Bellows Breath.
MKOI trying to call the bluff of KC, say you can go for Dragon, we're going to take your tier 2 in the top lane. So KC now trying to fight for mid control while also moving Vladi into position to protect the top tower.
On the side though, with the shockwave available, trying to poke out Vladi. Make sure he doesn't join the fight. It will be a 4v4 as Vault Breaker starts it off into Myrwn again. The shredding is unreal, even from Caliste. He's got a big one in the hole with double buffs, and Dragon's up again. KC need this, and they make sure that MKOI don't have a condition to play 4 and 5.
I'm pretty sure KC saw Myrwn TP to mid, so they know that the Ornn is out of the fight. Happy to go for this. Vladi backing away, thinking the only option that MKOI have now is to try and go for that play on towards the tier 2. But even then, they're shy. They're just going to take the camps instead.
Yike takes this with ease. Okay, 2 apiece. Game gets interesting. Goals even more even than before. Baron's up in 45 seconds. This final game to decide. Holding us by an inch. Quick reminder, KC 2-0. Movistar KOI, yes, they got their first win yesterday. If they win this, they move alongside KC. Well, actually, they'd be above, because KC would be 2-1. But they would be the top of the group. It'd be such a statement. After coming back a little bit shaky yesterday, after game 1 was such a wipe, KOI, we just have to call them resilient after that point, because it'd be 2 days in a row where they somehow just knuckled down and trudged through the mud.
Yeah, I still think, I mean, even looking at the goal, this game is relatively close.
Yeah.
Like, KC definitely have a lead off of tempo and been able to set up. Like, even gold that isn't being displayed, like the Atakan or 9 Dark Seal stack for Vladi, is going to make a difference. It's just that the scaling on both sides is incredibly good, so one team fight could make the difference. Like we saw Targamas make the difference with that Pop Blossom in the last fight. If Alvaro can get something similar, you could change the outcome of this game. It's just that MKOI for the moment are on the back burner because KC are out on the map and pushing waves faster.
Yeah, that conversation about Movistar KOI moving to first if they can win this is right now maybe more of a dream than KC remaining undefeated, because that feels like it could be reality with the feeling of this game at the very least, right? Baron's still up as well, by the way, as we move to 3rd item for 80 carries.
But look at where the Ornn is on the minimap.
Hang on. Cease and desist. We're going to pause. Yeah, Jojo's going to flash away. That flash not being up and available for a major fight. Maybe a game changer here as Elyoya's just ultied in. He's now on the right side of the map for Dragon, but that's 3 minutes away.
They thought it was going to be a much heavier engage from KC, because what I was about to point out was you had the Ornn who's been sitting around mid looking for an engagement on towards mid lane, but you had the full push down into this bottom side. So as MKOI were seeing that, they were like, oh crap, we've misread where the play is going to come from KC. We have missed our timing window, so it's just trying to defend Jojo, because the Orianna is your most vulnerable point on the map, especially when she's in a side lane. She just doesn't escape well from a lot of what KC have, and now that she has no flash, it only doubles that as well.
And you know she needs time. She needs that 3rd item. I mean, now just picked up Crypto Bloom, so massive stomps. Yeah, Crypto Bloom. it's an ETF, actually. Well, 3 items regardless. So the investment is there. And Jojo simply finds the shockwave and finds them all. It's just about if he can get Vladi, if he can get Caliste, keep track of Targamas in the same vein. There's a lot of what-ifs. I feel like that's for both teams, though, as well. Who hits those big multi-ultis? That's what we want to see as Dragon. Rather, Baron is sitting there waiting with limited vision from both.
It's the control of River that KC are able to utilize, though. Getting that push in mid, you can see Targamas as Corki is on this top side alongside Vladi, supporting him and getting that push. Now Jojo's only going to move to match that, which is allowing KC to group up. I was not going to say start Baron. I thought it was going to be get deeper vision, but maybe looking to get Myrwn's TP up in the bottom lane. There it is.
They get mid lane TP immediately, you're right. So Myrwn's going to join in, but this ain't just a start. This is looking to be a finish, and KC have got it down to 5. It's gone down mega quick, and MKOI have to get in. Elyoya needs to steal at 4, at 3. They hold off. They look for the turn. Pop Blossom, a one-man as Jojo gets caught out and stormed to death. Canna collapses on the Supa as the feathers fly out. He gets an ulti output for MKOI. That storm is getting bigger, and they're right in the middle of it. But it ain't too pretty as Supa walks back in to get destroyed. Caliste and Vladi have one last target as Myrwn runs for his life. and KC take care of business.
KC's team fight was clutch there. The fact they caught Jojo again, that Orianna without the flash, the prime target for KC, and Myrwn not being able to get the second half of the Call of the Forge God as well, means that KC will pick up the bar. We'll get to see it on this one. So Targamas immediately goes on to Jojo, who's separated. But as this Call of the Forge guard comes through, doesn't end up connecting with it, which means that there's no big engagement tool. And honestly, MKOI have been pulled every which direction to try and save people, whereas KC quickly teetering in on towards those carries and able to finish them off.
Come back to live. Baron has been picked up. Myrwn was the only one to survive. I think the most annoying thing is that Canna keeps moving objects, and moving objects by that I mean KOI just gets separated more every time he ults, every time he fights. There's so many dissuading abilities, and then Vladi and Caliste are just left in the meat grinder, and they love that. There's almost four items for Caliste, by the way, is after that fight, after the damage he's done in this game, he's about to get an IE.
Vladi also able to finish off his Xayahs means that he's just no longer a target really for MKOI. You're heavily reliant on trying to get on towards Caliste, but he's so mobile with the Valkyrie also having the cleanse. It feels like MKOI's windows for taking fights are out the window, to be perfectly honest. And now KC, another dragon, third dragon, and MKOI just taking the pressure that they can inside. But the gold lead starting to become a bit too big for them.
It's becoming huge, 3,000 and Soul Point. Will we get to the fourth dragon is the biggest question, because KOI are getting sieged on quite heavily. Bot turret going to drop down while Jojo is trying to make it a trade, but remember earlier on, KC got those two grubs. They have an advantage. And this mid turret is going to be next while Jojo just simply tries to get one.
It's the, I think, correct call from MKOI in this situation. Yeah. Baron's go creeps. You're not going to be able to defend. Your comp is pretty short range. So instead, just try and match the turret takes, engage on bot.
Steering charge. There's the ulti from Elyoya, but he runs into harm's way, and Vladi we find to just range him down. Caliste the same as well, by the way. And now that Elyoya's here, they know exactly where the jungler's coming from, and Jojo had to back away. He's going to be on vision with his mid wave too, with half HP on the inhib turret bot. He's going to keep waddling down.
This is what I mean, this little MKOI can do on the defense of the siege. They need to try and find something, but it didn't end up working out. At least they got the top tier 2, but they will lose their base for it.
Jojo stepping up to make sure mid doesn't go with it as well. Inhibitor now exposed on the bot side of the map. And top wave eventually is going to crash in, but that's going to slowly be bouncing back towards MKOI's bases. Quick base in time actually by KC, because they're going to get their reset off after Baron kind of runs out, or at least gets closer towards that. So a nice siege. A 2,500 Red Bull Baron power play. Not the worst, not the best, but it's still an advantage for them.
It's huge just because it gave them full control of the game.
Yeah.
If you try and come out for the dragon and you end up losing it, the game is over for MKOI, which makes you much slower to try and approach this objective. They look like they're going to try and look for some pick as just hiding out of vision here.
Walking in, gets stunned up. He walked right into that one with the Magna Storm. He's been opened up. That's a shutdown. Now Canna walked into man, but with Bella's breath, he has to be careful. He'll get brittled, he'll get slowed, and with dissonance, there's nowhere to go. He flashes away, and poor Myrwn needs it laid. Is some CC chains. MKOI with a big pick, and Vladi just strutted his stuff to die.
There's nothing on the map for MKOI to get, though. Their wave is pushed in top. The wave isn't in a position on bot lane to do anything, and it's still 2 minutes 40 at minimum until that next objective. So yes, it is a nice pick, and it does buy a little bit of breathing room for MKOI, but it doesn't change the outcome just yet.
Maybe that's why Vladi's lucky for that misstep, lucky for that misplay. Alvaro has unsealed spellbook, so he's going to use the barrier, move back to heal. Hexgate taken to get out of the way, so you're right. Let's see if Elyoya actually finding Yike, getting in his way. Spears out again. The rest of KC are backing this play up as Baron's 220, Dragon 2 minutes 10. They're coinciding, these timers. And that's big for KC when they're on Soul Point.
Yeah, getting the option to play with your food and see what way you want to go. The pick on Vladi does mean that the waves are now in a decent spot for MKOI. The fact that they're able to push insides, get the reset, push them out once more, just as the Dragon and Baron are about to spawn, gives them a little more control on the map. But it's still KC being able to, as you say, kind of play both sides. That's going to make it difficult for MKOI if they really want to commit.
Tension rises. That big play is going to come off the back of 4 or 5 item carries. Let's see which way. Enhance Infinity Edge. So the gold difference between AD carries is probably more like 1,000, not 2. But waiting for that last whisper to come through from Supa. Waiting for a last whisper from Caliste as well. That'll help the shredding on K'Sante, on Ornn alike. That'll make the fight a little bit quicker on their end too. I'm looking at Azonya's maybe being completed for Jojo before that fight comes through, but he's only got a Seekers. A lot of gold to go. Might not have that for the fight, so that's a 1 tick. But to be fair, at this point in the game,
kind of all you need.
I feel like it might be all you need. You're right. Might not matter. Canna with a Randuin's just picked up 4th item for the K'Sante. And Myrwn's a little bit ways to go with a Negatron cloak and cloth armor.
Yep. Full build for Jojo on the reset.
Okay, so he does get the Sonya's for what it's worth.
And again, like at this stage, gold is kind of a no factor. It is very much going to come down to execution. And at the moment, MKOI getting that shove out and getting vision control gives them more information to play with. Even just some nice poke onto Caliste right now.
Myrwn with that poke as well wants to find an engage. Canna gets out of there. Stands a little bit behind Caliste.
Alvaro's marking both Yike and Targamas on the side, and Myrwn happy to step forward and be that meat shield in the front to continuously let MKOI buy the space that they need on the map. Also, taking the Scuttle Crab, going to be very nice for movement speed just in front of the pit, which is why Elyoya dipped over there to get it.
Jojo, really good zoning while he does that as well, using his range advantage and his unlimited mana supply to just make sure that KC can't walk directly at them. Caliste, remember, is still low, and he might have a red buff, but the poke is starting to matter more and more. Alvaro looking for an angle, and Dragon's going to start, but before KC even know what hit him, no! What? Yike comes through, doesn't drive by, flashes out. Never mind, they knew, and they just took it. Canna runs in now with Hextech Soul, and a pop blossom above, all with a tangled barb, and an ulti from Canna off the back. Myrwn flashes out, because the Movistars have just been demoted. They're being casted as extras. And Yike will die for the play. The blade caller. Supa runs in. Wants his job back. Trying to get a root, but doesn't. Canna steps forward. Vladi runs in. And indeed, it is the Movistars who will fall.
It's a series of disastrous events for MKOI. The dragon is stolen. Jojo whips on the ultimate, and KC are able to jump in on top of them before Myrwn can even get his ultimate off himself. KC got everything they needed and are led directly to the Baron.
Flipping for the objective, bites him. Yike had about half a second to get that, and he did.
But watch afterwards. Jojo moves in, goes for the ultimate, whiffs on everyone. Yep. Canna then in a position where he actually gets onto Jojo, which sets up for the slow as Targamas comes through, so you get that early flash out. And again, Myrwn taken out of the fight, he's then focused down, and he's not able to set up in enough time to get some sort of fight back. Plus the Hextech Soul getting that AoE slow and damage as MKOI are all grouped to run away. It's just a complete mess. And Supa tried.
He tried.
Like, he nearly managed to get Caliste off the back of that and maybe could have done something, but it had already gone so wrong before that.
He got the flash from Caliste. I mean, that was an ambitious hero play, but it bites him in the end as well with Canna getting the sidestep, and it becomes a game of KC again. It's an elder game that KOI have to play towards now with the second Baron going to KC, and at this 36-minute mark, that Hextech Soul, the chase, if MKOI gets stuck again, if they go into this fight and get separated, this game, this series will end.
MKOI grouping because they know Vladi's on bottom side, looking for a pick on the mid lane, but KC not overextending. And we already saw how difficult it was for MKOI to defend their base against the last Baroned up minions. It becomes even more difficult when you're missing a turret on bot lane. You're trying to defend the tier 2, but KC already setting up to cover this.
Caliste has a full item now over Supa, who's holding a control ward, who obviously didn't have the gold to build it outright, and it might be the difference maker that comes through in what could be a final fight. Remember, it's getting into late game, so gold doesn't matter as much, but still, it shows you that KC are in the driver's seat just with the gold lead alone. This Baron trying to whittle down the inner turret and top side while minions are moving in through bot. No one handling it right now with Canna running through mid, adding pressure so that MKOI have to pay attention top.
KC don't have to overforce. Just let the Canna minion do the work. Let the Hextech Soul get a little bit of poke damage underneath the turret as well. MKOI now trying to see if they can split up and find some angle of attack. It looks like Canna might be that. But no KC member walking close enough to Elyoya in transition.
He'll just take so long to die. It has to be some kind of miracle fight that doesn't use all the engages as Caliste walks back in. Minion be damned, there goes the last inner of their game. And moving through multiple lanes yet again, Yike controls this space, and MKOI fear the worst here. They need to pull a rabbit out of the hat and something more than that as Jojo gets poked down, and KC still with Baron for another 40 seconds. Will continue the siege.
Myrwn's on the bottom side. Shockwave gone again.
Oh, what's the timer on that one, I wonder? It's about 40 seconds, right?
Yeah, I think for Jojo, just seeing maybe he could get something, but unfortunately that little bit short. And now KC once more in front of this next turret to fall. The base from MKOI is crumbling.
Yike tries to lure them in, or rather pretend like he's going to cease and desist. The AoE, the splash, does wonders on the inhibitor. And MKOI have to give it up. Next wave is top. You've only got one wave worth of Baron minions here. And then for KC, the siege will end.
There's so little you can do again. MKOI, they don't have the ranged, they don't really have the big engage. And maybe in a position where you can just, like, I think you just kind of got to fish for a big engage and hope for the best with Myrwn. Because otherwise, you just get the slow bleed and it's never going to go well.
They're just trying to whittle down Canna. I mean, that slow bleed hurts. It's the hardest way to lose games, to lose series. When you just watch it and there's nothing you can do, it sucks. But hey, 1 minute 30, that's something you can do. Elder's coming up, and that's MKOI's chance to flip this game. Yeah,
I'm curious if the call is, as you say, well, 1 Elder, but 2, Rabadon Death Cap nearly completed for Jojopyun. Yep. That could be their last hope, essentially, that they get to a point where they can find that big one.
Yes.
Yeah, he's been farming up every cap that he can in the jungle as well.
Flame Horizoning Vladi, and they're losing.
Still, KC in control, like waves being pushed in continuously. You got super creeps in the mid lane, which is going to help. If it's an extended play around the Elder Dragon, where KC can just get control on mid, and even TP should be up if they can look for a potential TP end instead of even looking at the Elder Dragon.
Those minions provide so many problems. It's a shame that KC don't have that bottom inhibitor down, so it's on the Dragon wave. That makes things a little bit easier for them. Supa's going to walk in here and just take the minion wave while TP's going to be burnt. Dagda, it's all coming down to this 5v5 around mid. You have to be so careful trying to push in these waves, though. You can see those crashes coming through from the Hextech Soul are slowing Supa and actually could give a window of opportunity for KC to look for an engage. MKOI now trying to hard force a play on the mid wave, but super creeps starting to come up. Yike has GA. He can send it in. So can Elyoya. Alvaro's looking for an innovative angle. One that could just change the game as well, but will he be spotted? There's a ward there, though, that will spot him out if he tries to move through. It's a good blue ward by KC, kind of warding all their defensive flanks. As now MKOI, they need to find a way to break this. Even trying to run down mid lane, I don't think is enough. TP going to be burned. This is Myrwn coming in with the ball on top of him. They want an engage, running in blindly. Myrwn needs to help get a shockwave. Supa starts off the damage. Alvaro now spotted out by Yike as the Shattering Strike does not connect. Heal out, and MKOI are getting burnt down slowly but surely. Caliste, not a big one in the hole as he's getting hit hard by Dragon. Elyoya doing some damage as well. This burn, this Elder is helping out MKOI. Elyoya is still the ultimate to try and reposition. KC having to cede ground. MKOI forcing them back. An Elder Dragon below half. It's a root in. Supa does good damage at 7k though. If they flip this again, it might all be over. Myrwn sets up, call the forward. God, the Pop Blossom doesn't do any work. Forward and down right and get hit, and finally, Jojo finds them all. The setup's big, but for KOI, they need to keep it going. Vladi's got a storm in the middle of them all, and it's getting bigger. It's getting bigger. He dies, but it gets the biggest until Myrwn survives. MKOI have found 4 of KC. The game will go on. The problem is, though, that MKOI can't actually go for the objective. Super creeps are in the base, and Canna could TP in to try and end. They need to hold on to the base, and MKOI need to find a way to do that a second time. All it took was one shockwave. I can't believe finally, in the heat of the moment, Jojo finally got it. And you called it out in the fight, Hysterics. Targamas not being able to find that Pop Blossom, then that massive shockwave onto 3 members with the follow-up on the Ornn ultimate. But Supa gets ripped out of this fight thanks to Canna, which meant that they actually maybe could have finished off Vladi quicker and then turned on towards Canna on the Dragon. Canna being able to take Supa out of the fight and finish him off meant that they just couldn't quite have enough DPS to deal with Vladi. There you go. There's the damage in the fight, by the way. I was looking at Vladi's Storm getting bigger and bigger, but his Zhonya's ran out and he was exposed. Exposed to Myrwn, exposed to Elyoya at the end. And that is why he could not kill them. That is why he could not finish the job. But look at the amount of flashes that were burned. Nothing left on MKOI. 2 flashes on Caliste and Canna in the entire game. And now MKOI stepping up once more. KC trying to see if they can get position to deny MKOI entry. Those Zhonyas are not available for Vladi, for Jojopyun. I see a GA advantage for Elyoya over Yike, who lost his in the fight. No AD carry with the GA. Also worth mentioning here, those ultis, let's have a quick look, all up and available.
This is dangerous from MKOI though. They've committed to the pick. KC could move down mid, but now we're looking at the Dragon.
Elder's helping out. Watch out for Supa here, who wants to keep waddling about. Targamas in it back. He's got himself a pop blossom angle. He's going to find them all! He snuck in to bring KC back on down. Myrwn running aground, but he's dead. Max is Caliste got to kite it out. Elyoya wants to leave, but Vladi closes the door on this series once and for all.
You need eyes in the back of your head if you're going to spot out Targamas. He's so consistently able to find these moments, and once more, he finds it for KC right at the end.
We got delivered a banger to end the series in our match of the week, but in the end, the French rise up. There will be no white flag. There will be no surrendering here today. KC undefeated in Group A, 3-0, and so well deserved after that ending.
What an absolute banger of a series. MKOI fought valiantly. That was so close to being their fight in the end. But the team fighting, the flanks, the setup around objectives from KC was just cleaner time and time again.
It was their game. The fact that KOI came in was admirable, but KC held on. You can vote for your key player of the series, Canna, Caliste, or Targamas in this best of 3. There are some consistent elements game and game again. And yeah, that bot lane, that hit hard. That did hit hard, and Targamas found another way again on Neeko to end the game.